So I want to talk about the point of this channel, which is basically like an archive of the movies I've been making for the past couple years. And it's unfortunate because this is the most recent iteration of my archive. Um, I've mentioned before that I have probably spent the past 2 years really fine tuning my organizational style. And that's due to the frustration of not having resources available when I need them. Um, I used to have a channel that was full of movies from when I was like anywhere from 11 to maybe 15. And it wasn't really ever supposed to be anything. I wasn't trying to be a YouTuber or make good art. I remember some of them were me playing the Super Mario Brothers on my guitar, and getting like a hate comment on there, or me crawling around the floor, uh, pretending to cry and freak out because a colored pencil was not blue. Who knows what kind of plot line my brain was thinking of at the time. But one I do remember extremely well was my favorite piece of content that I ever made was a movie called Extreme Pop Tarts, and it was a very sign of the times type movie where if you watched like Brondo or Epic Mealtime or this sort of like brash, in your face, aggressive nature style of movie making, it had that energy of like there's this gif where a guy smashes some ramen packet and he crunches up the noodles, snorts the seasoning powder, and drinks a kettle of boiling water. It was supposed to be something like that. And so in our movie, I was directing my little brother, maybe like 6 years old, and I told him like, okay, you're gonna slam your fist on the counter, which is gonna cause the Pop Tarts to come out of the packaging. You're gonna grab them in midair and throw them. It's gonna smash cut to them appearing in the toaster. You're gonna like you're gonna yell, and that's going to make the toaster shiver in fear and like close in on itself. Like very silly, childish stuff, but ultimately very funny. And I think back on it now because not only was this one of my favorite movies, but this was my dad's favorite movie. He talked about it a lot, and I think this was only locally saved. I don't know if I ever uploaded it. Maybe I did. But the issue is doesn't matter because I was bullied in high school for some of the movies I made. I I don't know, I don't have any sort of official diagnosis, but I am certainly on some kind of spectrum. And I just thought differently than the other kids, and they did not understand what I was doing. I was always pointed at and laughed at because, bro, you must be high or something. Sorry, I just have funny ideas. I just have cool stuff going on. And it's because I'm a visual thinker. I tell stories and I listen to stories, and I often just put pictures to things that don't have pictures yet. And so, as much of an artist as I try to be, there's things in life that aren't art, but they can be, in my opinion. And so that's why I make movies. I tell stories, whether that's trying to like be instructional or be personal. I want to basically have an archive of movies that document my life, so that I can communicate these ideas to not just the internet at large, but to my family. I've been disconnected from them for a while, and it's frustrating that like with even with my grandparents, I'd love to tell them about the time I went to New York, but I'm terrible at telling a story, but I'm good at showing. Maybe not New York specifically, but most stories I'm pretty good at showing. I won't ever be influenced by someone's negative opinion of me ever again. I won't be bullied and I won't be put down. I have no shame in what I'm doing, and I put my art out very easily, but I'm not good at like selling myself. So this year is going to be a big year for me to just open up and say, I made this thing. Please check it out. This will probably be a good time to talk about my workflow. I've always worked with Windows Movie Maker, and I have tried After Effects, Final Cut Pro. I've tried other video editing software. It just doesn't click for me because I've been using Windows Movie Maker for a long time. I believe the version I started out with and the version that I continue to use this day is from the Essentials pack from 2012. So I had to uninstall the one that was on my Windows 11 computer and reinstall 2012. That was a fun project. But there's lots of little tips and tricks in there that I learned that they actually took out for the upgraded versions. So I prefer using the 2012 version, and I mostly use it for sequencing, captions, adding music. We're basically just trying to get the film to look 90% of the way there. And then I learned in the past couple years when I started working with my friend Ariel with Sister Fisters that I needed some sort of like extra effects that Windows Movie Maker couldn't handle. So I installed Open Shot, Open Cut, something like that. Very good for chroma key, which takes the background out or whatever. Um, I usually used it to try to like emulate the sort of VHS filter over footage, and I also used a VHS style at the time and still do to have this sort of like wavy pattern over the footage, so it's like really grainy and I think really quite interesting texturally. Um, I, I I like keeping it simple. I don't really try to add too much. I do a lot of work with the sources that I'm given, and I guess the final piece of my toolkit when it comes to making movies is OBS. I used to do a lot of ripping entire YouTube videos just to take a couple scenes out, and I was doing this on my shitty laptop, which would take like 15 minutes to download, much less export an entire movie or minute of editing. But now I just use OBS to screen record, and I can take a 2 second clip from any YouTube video or whatever. I kind of view it as video sampling. So I can carry a lot of the work on my shoulders a lot easier. You know, I've struggled with this for a long time because I felt like a lot of people were impressed with my work, but I couldn't really take the compliment because it didn't feel like it was my work. I didn't make every scene from scratch, so therefore it's not worthy of praise. But having supportive friends who look out for you and tell you that your shit is cool, it doesn't matter that you didn't make this, you put this together, it really helps reinforce that. So Um, yeah, this is the channel where all my movies will live, and anything else that comes up in my life will be here. If I could give any sort of advice to either my past self, my future self, other people watching this, is that there is so much power in faking it till you make it. And that means just having this sort of punk rock attitude, this confidence that what you're doing is worth doing. That's the bare bones way to say it. And this almost directly contradicts what I was just saying, but it kind of is the whole point of this, is that I'm getting over this reserved shyness that is still in me somewhere. That you gotta have a fuck it attitude when it comes to the opinions of others. Are people gonna laugh at me? Are they gonna like this? It doesn't matter. The point is to make art. Doesn't have to be good. Just keep doing it, and success will find you. A good example of this is when I performed a Sun Dream song in my dining room, and I set up my keyboard on a stool, and I took my flashlight, and I made it look like a spotlight, and I acted like there were people there, and I acted like they were clapping whenever I walked on stage, and they clapped after the song was over, and then I added the sound effects in post. And I didn't do it because I wanted people to think that I have fans or I'm very popular. I did it because I thought it was funny. I thought it'd be a cool way to like immerse the idea that I am performing, rather than just here I am in my living room playing a song to nobody, which would also be fine. But I've added this layer of interestingness, and I think that just lends itself to the work. Fake it till you make it. Do what you want to do, and don't let anyone stop you.